That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. So, Jim, I guess we'll start it off by talking about what we've talked about for a while now, although from a different perspective. You posted here, did Carney blow it on Iran? So let me play. We're going to talk about what he had to say. So for our listeners who did not hear, Mark Carney, who, as you know, is just leaving India, going to Australia, did comment on this. Here's what he said.
Canada's position on the developments in the Middle East remains clear. The Islamic Republic of Iran is the principal source of instability and terror throughout the Middle East. It has one of the world's worst human rights records and must never be allowed to obtain or develop nuclear weapons. We've sanctioned over 250 Iranian entities. We've listed the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist entity. And despite numerous diplomatic efforts, Iran has neither fully dismantled its nuclear program, halted all enrichment activities, nor ended its support for regional terrorist proxy groups. Canada stands with the Iranian people in their long and courageous struggle against this oppressive regime, and we reaffirm Israel's right to defend itself. Canada supports the United States acting to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon and to prevent its regime from further threatening international peace and security.
So that is a statement from our Canadian Prime Minister. Jim, what did he get wrong, in your opinion?
I don't think he got anything wrong. It's very interesting to note, Aaron, that when we look at the reaction to that statement, and that, in fact, that last line we heard was lifted verbatim from the statement that was issued on Saturday in the hours following the operation against Iran. And you're basically hearing from at least one Liberal MP, apparently who is a professor of international law. You're hearing, God help us, from political commentators saying, well, it's not, you're not respecting the world order. Yeah. This flies in the face of what happened in Davos. Listen, there are no good guys in this story, but let's be clear. I'm no fan of Donald Trump. I'm no fan of the Israeli government. But I have to tell you, the list of offenses committed by the Islamic Republic, a republic which, by the way, is still wiping the blood of tens of thousands of its own citizens, off of its hands after it cracked down on protests against the repression that's been going on there for nearly half a century. You look at this and you say, well, if it wasn't one thing, it was going to be another. But the idea that we're going to start finagling over how many diplomats can dance on the head of a pin, no, I don't think so. What's important, I think, is our government has made it clear, no boots on the ground. We do support it, but this is it. And also, quite frankly, expressing with a lot more clarity, I think, the objectives of the operation than Trump has, and I think that's one of the big things that happened today. We heard that clip in the news where he's saying, some people say I don't stick with things, and I'll be putting it away. He's in a lot of trouble at home right now. I don't know if you saw the weekend snap polls that were done. Yeah. The American people do not support this war. End of story. They had enough with Iran and Iraq, and I got to tell you, I'm really going to age myself here. I covered Gulf War I with Bush the elder, Gulf War II with Bush the younger. This is not the same, and this entire and that's the problem with Trump. When he puts his chubby little fingerprints on top of everything, you get the impression that he went in thinking this was going to be over in time for the next round of golf, that this is going to be done, and I will be able to distract from the Epstein files. The fact is that none of that is happening. We also can't trust what anybody is saying. We also heard just this afternoon that the Straits of Hormuz have been closed. This from the Iranians. We'll wait and see about that. Aaron, I'm sure you've been watching it. I was watching it today as well. We had to a certain extent, at least in this country, a kind of taco. Trump always chickens out effect on the markets. They started off slow, and now they're up and moving. But what's interesting as well is energy shares did not go through the roof, at least not in these part of the woods. But yeah, it just seems nobody really knows what the hell is going on there on a daily basis, least of all the people who are holding the guns and pulling the triggers. So we'll have to wait to see what's going on. But in the meantime, I don't think if you did a snap poll right now on Mark Carney, I'll bet you most Canadians will turn around and say, listen, I got no problem with what he said. It would seem that, if you want to talk about, a world where things make sense, then by all means, yeah, it does seem a very kind of hypocritical statement. Do you want to talk about a world where Donald Trump is president of the United States? I think what he said on Saturday is just fine.
So, to your point, Jim, you're right. There are no good guys in the story, right? We're already having American deaths that have been reported and injuries as well. So there's no winner here. And the thing that I brought up, and I'm going to bring it up again when we get done, this is not just Iran now in the U.S. or Iran in the U.S. and Israel, right? Look around the rest of the Gulf. Each nation that holds an American military base has basically been attacked. So the question becomes, to your point, he's great at starting things. Where's the end here? What is the end here? Is it regime change? Because now they're starting to say, well, it's not up to us. It's up to the people of Iran. What does that mean? I mean, where's the plan?
See, the questions you're asking right now are some of the questions that get asked before you pull the trigger and say the operation is a go. That clearly didn't happen. And and I think, everyone out there is looking at this. And I want to amend what I said. The only good guys, and I use the word guys in the gender neutral tone, are the American troops who are being deployed right now on this apparently clueless operation. But apart from that, this clash was inevitable. In the here and now, the rules are not clear, the objectives are not clear. Iran, the Islamic Republic of Iran, has been an accident waiting to happen for 50 years. The fact that it's happening now with this particular round of players makes things more complicated. But you're quite right. There are very fundamental questions that anybody should have asked on this. It has not been asked. And please, folks, as I say, I covered both Gulf Wars. Please do not try to equate what Carney said on the weekend to what the great Jean Chrétien said in the House when it came to not joining the coalition of the willing. That proved to be right. But as I say, I think Carney's right on the money with this. Express the support. Say you're in favor of virtue, but make it clear as well that you're not going to be part of any kind of a coalition. But you're not going to get up in Trump's face, because this is the other thing. Trump will be probably even more vindictive with people who challenged his conduct of the war than he was with the Iranians themselves. You know what I mean? Everybody has taken a deep breath. But as I say, we'll wait for the next poll to come out. But I don't think Mark Carney should be losing any sleep over this.
All right, let me move on and bring it closer to home. You're right, in the CAC leadership hopefuls agree. The first debate, by the way, was on the weekend. Did you catch any of that?
Well, I caught the bits and pieces that I'm talking about right now, which is essentially, and I think it's very, very important, Aaron. I think most of our listeners have already figured this out. Anybody who thinks that with the departure of François Legault, we're going to see a kinder, gentler Coalition Avenir Québec, better think again. The reality is both Christine Fréchette and Bernard Drinville, took turns basically re-expressing their support of Bill 21, of Bill 96. It's even more petty manifestation going after workers in daycares. It doesn't matter if there's going to be a staff shortage. Ça vaut la peine, as we say in these parts, to Quebec to protect Quebec's identity. And the fact is, sad but true. I mean, the one thing you can say is that the CAC is being consistent. It's the only thing they know how to do. They spent 8 years pitting, one section of Quebecers against another. It's something they'll be doing right up to Election Day in October. And despite the fact that they're losing a lot of people on the bench, a lot of people are announcing they're not seeking another term. I think we're up to maybe 12 at this point. The bottom line is this is the same old CAC. It's going to be the same old problems. And honestly, as I say, it could be happening to a nicer bunch of people. But please don't buy into this idea that, they've learned and they have to adjust to. No. They don't care. It has always been about that. End of story. And if you don't believe me, look up. I think it's out there on YouTube. Look up the so-called debate. It was an online debate. And listen to what they had to say, and tell me whether you get the impression, even though François Legault may be gone, did he ever really leave?
By the way, for those who have not seen that or not going to go online, you may remember what Bernard Drinville said on this show when I asked about Bill 21, and he said this.
Bill 21 on secularism?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. And remember, the women who dared to say I'm being fired because of the CAC's legislation because I don't want to take off my hijab. I want to do my job. I just want to keep my hijab on my head. Basically, he said, we don't have a clip of that, I guess, but he said these women cost themselves their own jobs.
So they knew the law, whatever.
Because that was the law. The law is completely illegal. And now the tough-talking CAC politicians, their bowels are turning to water at the prospect of the Supreme Court ruling on this, which I believe the arguments begin next month. So this is going to be hoot and holler. Probably won't come down in time for the election. But the fact of the matter here is, with every passing day, more and more, how can I put it, quote unquote, air quote, ordinary Quebecers are realizing just what a petty, small-minded, xenophobic, so-called government this has been for the past 8 years. And perhaps, maybe the only news we're going to get out of the CAC between now and October is how many other people have decided not to seek office again. But in the meantime, spare me any suggestion that this leopard's about to change its spots. Quite on the contrary, this weekend it showed it's going to remain the same divisive, small-minded party that it has always been.
James Mennie at the Montreal Gazette. Thank you, Jim.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.